Start protecting yourself on the web at nordvpn.com/nerdalert or use code NerdAlert, one word, and save 77%. If the last few weeks have taught us anything, Facebook, third-party apps, and online advertisers know us too well. Even if you didn't opt in or give your consent, these companies and more like them may know all about what you do on the internet and profit off it. And that isn't right. I've talked a lot on NerdAlert about how important your data privacy is. Your digital identity is not for anyone to take and sell and use to their own ends. It's yours. It's one thing to be attacked by hackers, but it's another to be unknowingly sold and manipulated online. On the other hand, sometimes it's hard to resist the call of free Wi-Fi. Sometimes you find yourself in a position where you can't. That's why I'm very excited to team up with NordVPN with a massive 77% discount for the NerdAlert audience. Start protecting yourself on the web now at nordvpn.com/nerdalert or use code NerdAlert. Have you seen Avengers Infinity War? Because we have to talk about it in full spoilers. This video will be full of spoilers, full spoilers for Avengers Infinity War. If you don't want this, we have a spoiler-free review.
That's right.
But I have been losing my mind to talk about specifics on this movie. If this movie has taught us anything, when someone tells you it's important to listen to them, you should, okay? So if you're not ready for this, don't. Okay.
Lead us off.
This movie, okay, first of all, I feared that they would make this a cliffhanger, and they did.
Not really.
Yes, they did.
Okay, what's the cliffhanger of the movie then?
Because, okay, I mean, we've all broken the fourth wall, right? We all know about plans in the future for a Black Panther movie and a Spider-Man movie.
And Guardians 3.
Guardians 3 is on the docket. We know those characters aren't permadead.
Yeah.
And it kind of took away the gravity of that because of that fourth wall. I mean, we do know a little bit about what Avengers 4 is going to be. Maybe I'll touch on that later. But I think it took away kind of the gravity of what those deaths should have been. However, on top of that, there were deaths that were perhaps more permanent. I mean, people have been arguing with each other about who's revivable and who isn't.
Yes. Yes. Now, here we are. Gamora's death.
Yeah.
I don't think she's dead because of Guardians 3, but for me, I now hope she's dead because it will make that character moment really matter, especially the moment where Thanos kills her. And also, we gotta talk about the scene. I was very surprised that the Red Skull showed back up.
Everyone was like, what?
Yeah, we forgot about him since First Avenger, guys.
So now his job is to guard the Soul Stone on some planet?
Yep, just hang out, Now, to me, I don't see the ending of this movie as a cliffhanger because and I referred to this in our non-spoiler review, that the ending of this movie is where Thanos is chilling on a farm and he's just relaxing and smiling. That is in the Infinity Gauntlet comic books.
But he's not smiling. His heart is heavy because this Thanos.
But he gives a relaxed sigh.
I think
he completed his goal.
That's not how I read it.
Oh, okay, interesting.
How I read it was he has bittersweet feelings. I think he still loves Gamora and misses Gamora, but he's trying to pad his mind with this idea that he did the right thing overall. He's on this paradise planet. Maybe that planet was a disaster before he culled half the population, and he's like, oh, I did do the right thing. I did the right thing. You know, he needs this constant justification that he did the right thing. I think he's very conflicted, and I think there's a chance he could show a moment of emotional weakness in the next movie following this up. And I think that's something that can be used to change the plot around. I mean, I looked into what happened in the comics, and there's no way I think that can happen.
Well, I will say that, so in the comic books, the big thing is that eventually they just get the gauntlet off and Nebula brings back the people that were disappeared.
But then Nebula decides, oh, I'm going to use it for myself. And she's not going to do that.
But notice that Nebula is one of the characters that does not vanish at the end of the movie.
Okay, let's do a recap. The characters that are still around in active play, the original Avengers minus Hawkeye, though, you know, there's pictures of him. He's in Avengers 4. So all the original Avengers.
Rhodey.
Rhodey? Oh, yeah.
Rhodey, Nebula.
Rocket.
And Rocket.
And that's it.
Yep. That's it, like of the
maybe Wong,
main team.
Maybe Pepper.
Yeah, we don't see either of them.
Maybe Valkyrie.
Yeah. Yeah, Valkyrie, let's talk about this. So the beginning of the movie basically starts with Thanos murdering every Asgardian, including Loki. how do you feel? I felt a little sad by this because, yeah, one, we don't see what happens to Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie. Where does she disappear? But also at the same time, Thor Ragnarok was all about Asgard as the people. We're the people. And all the people are murdered.
Taika Waititi has to be so mad about this movie, undoing Asgard as a people, putting Thor's eye back, undoing the thing where Thor doesn't need a hammer. They kind of just crapped all over
Unless all the Asgardians are coming back in 4. But although I doubt that because like a lot of Thor's journey in this movie was him dealing with this loss. So to me, if you bring the Asgardians back, you take away that character arc. Although I will say, to me, the most stand-up and cheer moment of this entire movie was when Thor bifrosted right into the middle of Wakanda with Groot and Rocket and raised it, and the Avengers theme went full blast, and seeing Thor back in his original costume to me was like the biggest cheer of the movie.
Okay, so Thor is the strongest Avenger, right? We're gonna settle this debate now?
Yeah, 100%.
He's 100% the strongest Avenger. Problem, I mean, I like it when there's a definitive answer to something. It's Thor. It's Thor. I liked how they interacted with each other. I liked how all the Guardians were enamored with him, except Peter, who was instantly very jealous.
Rocket and Thor's interactions was a character dynamic that I never knew I needed in my life, and especially how he kept calling Rocket Rabbit.
I mean, there were if we're talking Rocket, a lot of old jokes paid off with him.
Especially with the eye.
A random eye in his bag. He likes collecting prosthetic body parts.
He wanted Bucky's arm. Was there any part of this movie that you'd say doesn't work? Or if there is a negative to this movie, do you have a negative to this movie?
I thought, well, I mean, at the time I thought some things were convenient, but then I figured it out and they were actually well crafted. So it's hard for me to say at this moment. I really enjoyed the character interactions. I really enjoyed them all working together. I mean, Matt Ashedy brought this up, which is you can kind of look at the Avengers movies as a TV show that's just been
going
cut up
forever.
A different way. And I can feel that way with it. This is the season finale, obviously.
Of course.
And I'm having a good time thinking about how they're going to fix this in the next one. Because I did see some people complaining, like, why would Doctor Strange just give it up like that? And it's like, come on, he just used the time stone. He saw one way that it'll work. Obviously, the way that it'll work involves Thanos getting the gauntlet. He has to do it.
Yeah,
he's a pragmatic man.
This comes from Ashley Robinson. She said to me when we saw the movie last night that she thinks that Doctor Strange giving up the time gem is the push. All the people disappearing is the push that the original Avengers need to get over Civil War. And as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, that's exactly what it is.
It's got to be something related to that. Like either Tony is instrumental, they all need to get together and be inspired. Thanos has to have the glove, and somehow something in the future involving him having it is key to this. I don't know what it is yet, but I like thinking about it.
Now, I think that Avengers 4, and we get no hints of what Avengers 4 is in this movie, which is crazy. Oh, go ahead.
But they're all meta hints about things I've heard about.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, we've seen pictures where they've been refilming old scenes and their old costumes. Now, that makes me think that Avengers 4 is now going to be called, I had the idea that it was going to be called Avengers Disassembled for a while.
No.
Now I think it's Avengers Forever, which is a comic book storyline where the Avengers are sort of lost through time and have to fix their history.
It's a time travel movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I think's happening. So the movies we have between this Avengers and the next Avengers are Ant-Man and Captain Marvel. We've seen pictures of Paul Rudd in his full Ant-Man suit with Chris Evans in time period.
In Avengers 1, I think, Captain America suit. Yeah.
So that means Ant-Man is traveling through time. He's going to the quantum level. So that is going to be set up, I think, in Ant-Man and Wasp. The foundation.
Oh yeah, I think the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp is that we start seeing people dissolving.
Yeah.
And maybe Scott Lang and I hope Hope as well. Maybe they shrink down to the quantum realm, and because they're in the quantum realm, they get past the time wave that dissolves everybody.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at also is, no, I like talking about this. Captain Marvel, she also has ties to the quantum realm, and she also has these cosmic powers. And the space paper was fun, but hers is set in the 90s. I guess at this point in time, she might be out in space.
Yeah, she's just out. I assume that if this movie happens before Avengers 4, that Captain Marvel's ending will have some sort of tie-up to be like, well, I got to go take care of this thing, but if you ever need me, here's a space beeper.
Perfect. I mean, she must have been gone for a while. If she still thinks beepers are the effective communication method. So I think
it looked very analog too.
Those two movies are somehow going to pull out the foundation pieces of what Avengers 4 will be, which will be time travel and lots of it.
Now, I've also heard as well that there's another theory out there that since it is most of the original Avengers are the ones that survived this little dissolution wave, that the sacrifice might have to be, since all their contracts are up, that they have to give their lives to bring everybody back.
I was thinking about that. I think there might be an exchange of life because the ones that are gone are the ones that for sure have futures with Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, that we know have movies. And the ones that stayed are people that were like, we don't know if you're going to be around for Avengers 5.
So there could be a switch off there.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Soul Stone in the comics is kind of a plane of existence in itself.
You can live inside it, actually, in the comics, which is kind of weird. So there is a chance that we could see scenes inside the Soul Stone. The Soul Stone is the most powerful of all the stones.
Question.
Yeah.
Could Gamora be inside the Soul Stone?
Yes. And that actually happened in the comics.
See?
Yeah.
She might still be around, everyone. I don't know what's going to happen with her because I've heard that she might come back or she might not come back because there's also been talk that she's instrumental to Guardians 3. It's more her story, but it could be them uncovering her story.
Sure. Again, it's you don't know because you know that James Gunn is the director of Guardians, is very possessive of these characters because he's very instrumental in their characterizations and their stories. Would he let the Avengers movies or the Marvel Cinematic Universe kill off one of his storytelling pieces? I don't know.
They never solved their,
I know, but like again, it's one of those things where like, and the writer in me is like, oh man, this is a perfect ending for Gamora, and this death, if it stays true, will so impact the Guardians. Like Guardians 3 is going to be such a different movie. Just looking at the way Peter Quill acted in this movie after Gamora's death, and that was one of my parts that I liked about this movie.
I have to say, okay, this leads to my theory that something emotional is going to happen with Thanos cracking or slipping in some way. I think Doctor Strange let Peter be a jerk and punch Thanos, thereby breaking the sleep spell and ruining everything. I think him having those feelings is going to be key. Maybe he'll try to bring Gamora back. Maybe he'll enter the Soul Stone in some way and talk to her, much like he did with the young version of her.
Yes.
Which was like, how much did it cost?
Yeah.
That scene.
I will say the one thing about this movie that I'm very intrigued in is I heard there was a lot cut out of this movie. I really, really hope we get a director's cut or a Russo's cut because they said that there's a whole Thanos backstory where they explain to you how he got to become the Mad Titan and where he found out about the Infinity Stones and stuff like that. And I kind of want to see that movie. I really do. Yeah, I think overall, Avengers Infinity War I thought was almost a home run.
It was very solid.
The deaths were surprising. And if it has a weakness, if it has any weakness, and this is a very nitpicky weakness, it's that it's a lot of action with not a lot of character arc in it.
Okay.
But I think that they might be saving that for the next one. And that's fine.
I think Steve is really going to take a big role in the next one instead of Tony taking the big role in this one.
But I don't mind because the spectacle and seeing these characters team up were so amazing that I don't care that it was a big smash 'em up comic book action movie.
I did think of one thing didn't land for me.
Sure.
I don't care about Scarlet Witch and Vision's relationship.
Oh, get out of here, Kim.
It hasn't been built up.
You're heartless.
Where did Wanda's accent go? She had a Sokovian accent. Now she just sounds like Elizabeth Olsen.
Everybody said that about Halle Berry in the X-Men movies too, so like her African accent.
Okay,
I have another weakness. If I have a weakness, it's the children of Thanos. At no time did I care about any of those characters.
Why would I ever?
Yeah, and they were never scary because half the time the CGI was pretty bad.
And they were like Squidward and Grimace. You're just making fun of them all.
I didn't care.
Yeah, that's okay. We found some holes.
There you go. We found some holes in Avengers Infinity. Are you happy?
What holes would you poke in Avengers Infinity War, or do you think it's perfectly solid and whole? Like an Infinity Stone. Please let us know below and like and subscribe for more.